أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه. All right. In our last lesson, we were speaking about certain supplications that one should utter to those who are in the state of ihtidar, to the person who's about to pass away. And we mentioned a short supplication and also actually two short supplications, right? And we also mentioned a hadith regarding Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and a particular supplication that was also short, which he taught to someone who was witnessing his sins and his good deeds at the time of ihtidar. Today, inshallah, we're going to continue by mentioning another good deed that is recommended, a deed that a person should perform, meaning it's mustahab to perform it, when someone else is in ihtidar. All right? But when, for example, the mu'min is in ihtidar. And that one is reading Quran. Reading Al-Quran Al-Kareem. One might ask, are there specific chapters that we should read? And so I'll mention to you what Sayyid Kazim al-Yazdi rahmatullah alayh mentioned in Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa. Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa, for those of you who don't know, is a fiqh book. It's a book that contains the opinions of Sayyid al-Yazdi rahmatullah alayh, but it's a very important book, such that multiple maraja had commentaries or footnotes on Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa. Secondly, one of the beautiful features in Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa is that the book is highly detailed. Most of the masail, most of the circumstances that come to your mind regarding Islamic laws are mentioned in Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa. That's how detailed it is. Of course, we're excluding certain matters that did not exist during the time of Sayyid Kazim al-Yazdi, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh. Those are different. Those are called mustahdathat al-masail, right? New matters, new circumstances that pop up as people progress as basically time continues. So he said in Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa that it is recommended to read Surah Yasin and Surah As-Saffat. And Yasin and Saffat come after each other. They come after each other. First you have Yasin, then you have As-Saffat. He said it is recommended to read these two chapters so that the person is relieved quickly. So if you feel that the person in ihtidar is going through a tough time, read for him those two chapters. You'll help him. Inshallah, when our time comes, someone will help us. Right? Because when you treat people in a good manner, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will treat you in a good manner. He'll send you someone or some people who will treat you in the same way.
I'm sorry, Sheikh. Why does Sheikh Kazim say these two?
Yasin and Safat, because they relieve the person who's passing away quickly. Inshallah, we will read a hadith about Safat today, inshallah. Another chapter, in fact, it's not a chapter, it's a collection of ayahs, a collection of verses that one should read are the ayahs in Surah Al-Baqarah. Which ones? From 255 to 257, meaning Ayat al-Kursi, right? And the two ayahs, the two verses that come after it. Ayat al-Kursi is a mind-blowing ayah, subhanAllah. And its effects are marvelous effects. Perhaps one day we can shed light on it. بإذن الله عز وجل. Once again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good question. I'm not sure, is it from Shia Hadith or is it from Sunni Hadith that says after every wajib salah read Ayatul Kursi and the only thing between you and heaven is death?
I remember there's a hadith like that in our books. Like I'll have to double check to confirm. But we do have multiple ahadith. In fact, many ahadith that highly praise ayat al-Kursi and that mention its effects. Yeah. وإياكم. So reading ayat al-Kursi with ayat 256 and 257 for the person who's in ihtidar is also recommended. Number 3, he says ayat al-Sukhra. What's ayat al-Sukhra? Surah Yunus, verse 3. Surah Yunus, verse 3.
Sheikh, what's the name of the surah again?
It's not a surah, it's an ayah. Ayatul Sukhra, they call it. Al-Sukhra.
53.
Verse 3.
Verse 3.
Surah Yunus, verse 3. Going back to Surah Al-Baqarah, reading the last 3 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah is also mustahab. The last 3 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. Number 5, reading Surah Al-Ahzab. Subhanallah. Which mentions, طبعا, Surah Al-Ahzab mentions Ghazwat Al-Ahzab. Today we're in deep need of the verses that speak about Ghazwat Al-Ahzab due to what's happening in the Muslim Ummah, especially in the Middle East. So Surah Al-Ahzab is good. It's recommended to recite it when someone is in ihtidar. Finally, he says any part of the Quran. It's also mustahab to recite any part of Al-Quran Al-Kareem. So you want to recite Ali Imran, Al-Nisa, Al-Ma'idah, no problem. Quran is Quran. It's beautiful. It's the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there is emphasis on reciting the surahs that we mentioned and the ayahs that we mentioned.
All 5 of these, or all 6 of these recommendations come all over the book.
We will realize as well that one of the deeds that are mustahab after someone passes away. All right, ihtidar is done. Malak al-Maut alayhi salam did his work. Now the person passed away. Now what? Are there mustahabbat? Yes. One of the mustahabbat after the person's death is to read Quran. Read Quran beside that person. طيب. We buried him. Now what? Quran. طيب. Quran is always good. Subhanallah.
Is there a difference of there's a mayyit and, for example, I reading the Quran next to him, just having the audio playing?
يعني القرآن الكريم is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's nur, as it says about itself, right? It's light. So having an audio player reciting the Quran is good, but I would prefer personally having an actual human being, because when you have an actual human, there's a qari, there's someone who's reading the Quran there, right? Yeah. Hello. Yes.
You mentioned the source many times.
العروة الوثقى. Here, let me write it for you on the board. العروة الوثقى.
Sheikh, شو هي ال I don't know. Can you say it again?
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys on
Yeah, because we
the
can't.
chat section. I didn't move the camera because I'm just writing two words.
Anyway, we can't see it too. It's too small.
You can't see the writing, huh?
Yeah.
Subhanallah.
Thank you.
No problem. العروة الوثقى. Literally meaning the firmest handle. That's the literal meaning of العروة الوثقى. The firmest handle.
Why do you go with that name?
Sayyid Yazdi. Yani, perhaps he thought, if you apply these ahkam, which are obviously derived from Quran and the seerah of Ahl al-Bayt, the hadith, the narrations of Ahl al-Bayt, you'll be safe, right? And when you're, let's say, in a tough position, there's a possibility that you drown. You need what? You need something to grab on to save you from drowning. So you need to hold on to something. But it's as if he's telling you, hold on to these ahkam and you'll be safe. Of course, with the condition of believing. You have to believe in the truth and you follow these ahkam. Perhaps that's what was going through his mind, rahimahullah. Yes.
I also recognize that a lot of us we was following A'lam al-Huda. I don't know if it's from a dot or
A'lam al-Huda, the flags of guidance. A'lam al-Huda.
Sheikh?
Yes.
Okay, what is it regarding al-urwat al-wuthqa? I think I missed it.
So Muhammad Ali was asking why would Sayyid al-Yazdi rahmatullah alayhi name his book Al-Urwat al-Wuthqa. I told him perhaps he was giving this implicit message, which is if you hold on to these ahkam, which I'm mentioning to you, which are derived from the Quran and the words of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, and you believe in the sect of Ahl al-Bayt, you believe in Ahl al-Bayt themselves alayhim salam, and you will be saved on the Day of Judgment. So perhaps he named his book Al-Urwat al-Wuthqa because we human beings need something to hold on to be saved from drowning in the oceans of sins and misguidance.
Okay, Allah, it makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who is it written by?
Al-Yazdi, Sayyid al-Yazdi. One of our maraja, one of our past maraja called Sayyid al-Yazdi, rahmatullah alayhi. All right, let me share with you a hadith found in Bihar al-Anwar as Allama al-Majlisi rahmatullah alayhi cites the book Da'awat al-Rawindi. Excuse me. This is the hadith that I promised you, which speaks about Surah Al-Saffat. عن سليمان الجعفري. Sulaiman al-Ja'fari says, رأيت أبا الحسن عليه السلام. I saw Abu al-Hasan, peace be upon him. Who do you think this person is? Which Imam we're talking about here? Close. Abu al-Hasan.
You said there are four into
Wouldn't you say Abu Hassan Buddha would be
الأول الكاظم. Right. Imam al-Kazim عليه السلام. Yeah. رأيت أبا الحسن عليه السلام يقول لابنه القاسم قم يا بني. So he says, I saw the Imam addressing his son Al-Qasim, and he was telling him, rise my son, فقرأ عند رأس أخيك والصافات صفا. Told him, read beside the head of your brother والصافات صفا, meaning Surah Al-Saffat. تستتمها, يعني read it up until it ends. Read the whole surah. فقرأ فلما بلغ أهم أشد خلقا أمن خلقنا قضى الفتى. He began reading Surah Al-Saffat. So when he got to that verse, The tradition says قضى الفتى. The young boy passed away at that point. So the surah was not done yet. And the person, the young man or the young boy passed away. فلما سجي وخرجوا أقبل عليه يعقوب ابن جعفر. After this incident, the person who passed away was covered. He was covered with a cloth, and the people left. When that happened, Yaqub ibn Jafar turned to Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. فقال له كنا نعهد الميت إذا نزل به الموت يقرأ عنده ياسين والقرآن الحكيم. وصرت تأمرنا بالصافات. He said that we had been used to the following. When someone would be in ihtidar, when someone's death would arrive, we would read Yasin beside that individual. And now you're commanding us to recite the Safat. Wanted to know why. So the Imam said alayhi salam, يا بني لم تقرأ عند مكروب من الموت. There's another version for the hadith which says قط لم تقرأ عند مكروب من الموت قط إلا عجل الله راحته. Meaning, whenever Surah Al-Saffat is read beside a person who's passing away, and that person is going through distress because of the fact that he is passing away, whenever that surah is read in such a circumstance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quickly relieves the individual who is passing away. He quickly makes him feel comfort. Yes.
When Imam al-Kadhim says Ya Bunayya, who is he referring to?
I'm not exactly sure. Perhaps he's addressing Yaqub ibn Ja'far, or perhaps he's addressing someone else. But he's answering Yaqub ibn Ja'far's question.
And Yaqub ibn Jafar is the Imam's son, like Imam Sadiq's son, or a different Jafar?
I'm not sure. That question did come to mind, but I'm not sure if this is if he's the Imam's brother, alayhi salam, or he's someone else.
Can a person convert? Or, I think they can, or I'm not sure. Can a person convert in the moment of ihtidar? Does it feel at that point?
At the moment of ihtidar, we narrated the story of the man, if you remember, the
one about
the person who uttered his belief in Allah, in his belief in Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and how that saved him. صح? So that story indicates that yes, a person can change sides. A person can believe even if his death is near. But the question is, how close was his death to him? What was he seeing anything or not? That's the question. So for that, I'd have to get back to you.
seeing anything, if you saw him anything more, and then said,
Yes. Did he see something? Did he not see something? At the moment, I don't recall what the hadith said. Here, let me pull it out quickly. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Where is this? Yeah, so here the hadith of Abu Bakr al-Hadrami says that the man was sick, and Abu Bakr al-Hadrami came to him and visited him when he was sick, right? but it doesn't mention that he was seeing the affairs or the matters of the hereafter. Okay. So what I can tell you at the moment that a person can reveal his faith, can believe in the truth, even if his death is very close, and Allah Ta'ala will accept that from him. Jayid. But if al-ihtidar begins, then at what point does the door of repentance close? That's what I have to check to give you a precise answer. Yeah. وإياكم. Okay, so this is the hadith regarding Surah Al-Saffat. Concerning the ayah, أَهُمْ أَشَدُّ خَلْقًا أَمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا, I'm not going to go into its tafsir at the moment. If you'd like, next week we can shed light on its tafsir. بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. All right. Do you have any questions? No? All good? Jade. Let me see how much time we have left. Yeah, we still have time. No. So remember, if someone, the mu'min is in ihtidar, read Surah Al-Saffat for him. Especially if you feel that the mu'min is going through trouble, that he's going through tough times. It will relieve him. Yes.
You have to be near that person. Does he have to be here? For example, you're in a different country, you're with them.
Yani, being present definitely is what we're talking about. Yani, if you're physically beside him, then read Surah Al-Saffat. If you're not there, then there's no harm in reading it. Perhaps it will have an effect as well. There's no harm in it at all. Yeah, especially if he can hear you, right? And sometimes someone might be in ihtidar and you're away from that individual. You're in a different city or a different country, but you have a relative who's beside the person in ihtidar and they've opened a video call for you. He can hear you, technically, right? Why not? No, recite whatever you can recite, try to help him. No. Okay, we've talked about things that are mustahab, things that should be done when someone is passing away. What about things that are makruh? Should we avoid certain matters if someone is in the state of ihtidar? Here I'll mention to you two matters or two issues that we also find in Al-Urwa Al-Wuthqa. And we also find it in Minhaj Al-Salihin.
Yeah, when we talk about Minhaj, you would say that Sayyid al-Hakim was the first one who wrote a Minhaj.
Yeah.
What was that? Like, why in addition to the Risala, if I can put it that way?
Sometimes you need to modify the Risala. You need to modify it. For example, the style through which a particular Risala is written suits a particular time, particular era. So then as time continues, as time prevails, yani perhaps the style used by that alim has to be modified so we can explain to the people their ahkam and help them absorb their ahkam with more ease. Jayid. Not to forget that also sometimes what happens is the fatawa differ, right? Yani the alim, let's say called alim A and alim B, right? The fatawa, the verdicts of alim A are much different than the verdicts of alim B. So instead of alim B coming forward and using the book of alim A, and then writing comments, hundreds of comments on his book, saying I differ with him in this mas'ala and that mas'ala, he just changes the book, right? He changes it. Obviously, there will be a lot of ahkam on which they agree. But then again, because there's a lot of differences, he just finds it better to write a new book. تمام. One third point is that sometimes the way a particular book is organized might not be the best. يعني a second alim believes that if we want to help people understand Islamic laws, then we have to even change the order of the chapters. So the new book is written. Yes, go ahead.
So, for example, for Sayyid Sistani, at least in English, you have a book, Islamic Laws, and then you have the Arabic Minhaj Salih. Is the English Islamic law the translation of the Minhaj?
No, Islamic laws is a translation of Tawdih al-Masail, which is in Persian.
So, which should we be referring to?
For Sayyid Sistani, Minhaj. Yani Minhaj is very precise. It's been written by Sayyid Sistani himself. Yeah. طبعا, the first Minhaj was written by Sayyid Muhsin al-Hakim, rahmatullah alayh. Then Sayyid al-Khu'i wrote his Minhaj. So his Minhaj had some verdicts that are different than Sayyid Hakim's verdicts. Sistani da Madillo also wrote his Minhaj. So his Minhaj al-Salihin is different to a significant degree than the Minhaj of Sayyid al-Khoury. Right? Sayyid al-Hakim, Muhammad Sa'id Qudus Sirru, he also wrote his Minhaj. And if you compare Sayyid Sistani's Minhaj to Sayyid al-Hakim's Minhaj, you will find clear differences. One of which is, with all due respect, of course, Sayyid Sistani and Sayyid al-Hakim. Sayyid al-Hakim's, the wording of his Minhaj is easier to understand. Yeah, easier to understand, easier to absorb than Sayyid Sistani's wording. وإياكم. Sheikh Wahid, on the other hand, Wahid al-Khurasani, hafidhahullah, his Minhaj, he has Minhaj al-Salihin. What's his Minhaj? It's the Minhaj of Sayyid al-Khou'i. Same Minhaj. But he makes comments. When he differs with Sayyid al-Khou'i on something, in the footnotes, he'll tell you. In this issue, مثلا, I say kada wa kada. I don't agree here, or I agree here, whatever. Right? He mentions his comments in the footnotes section. جيد? طيب. So what are these two things or deeds that are makruh, that are disliked at the time of ihtidar? Number one, it is disliked for someone who's on janaba, or a lady who's on her menstrual cycle, on hayd, to be present beside the person who's in ihtidar. Okay? Would you like me to write these points down? Would it be easier for you guys? Well, that's okay.
So, Sheikh, you're saying, if someone is dying, is a واحدة بالحيض, or one is on janaba, shouldn't be close to the person who's passing away?
صحيح. They shouldn't be beside that person, and they shouldn't be in
the same room.
In his presence, in the same room.
Okay. How about if someone is already dead, and he's in the tabut, and you're with him? Is that okay or no?
For the lady who's on hayd?
Yes.
I'll have to check.
Okay.
I'll have to check. But right now we're talking about someone who's in ihtidar.
Okay.
Okay. That's a good question. Very good question, mashallah. The second thing that is makruh, or the second deed that is makruh, and please remember this one because I've seen people making mistakes regarding this one, is to touch the person who's in ihtidar such that there's skin-to-skin contact. Yeah? He's in ihtidar, don't touch him. Read Quran, do talqeen, no problem, but don't touch that person.
Why is that?
I remember reading the hikmah, the wisdom. Give me 1 second, sorry. As I write down the البروهديد. اللهم صل على محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Sheikh,
عفوا, because it hurts him. In عروة الوثقى, السيد اليزدي says أن يمس في حال النزع فإنه يوجب أذاه. If you touch him such that there's skin-to-skin contact, the person who's passing away gets hurt. So don't add to his pain, right? La samahullah, la samahullah.
Sheikh,
Yes, sister.
so you're saying also don't touch the person if you are on your period or janaba.
No, here we're talking about someone who's not mujnib and not on hayd. Okay? So we're saying even if someone is not mujnib or not haid, that person should not touch the person who's in ihtidar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And if your parent is passing away, you can't touch. You can only.
No, wait until the process is done, then you can touch them. Ihtidar, the soul is coming out.
How can you, like, what is your cues? How do you know that this person is right now?
يعني you can tell in some cases or many cases. For example, you're in a battle. Your comrade gets shot. Gets shot. And you see him, he's critically wounded, and it seems like he's passing away. The way he's breathing, the way he's talking to you, it seems like he's passing away. So you'd know at that point that he's an ihtidar. Or, مثلا, your family member is sick. He's in the hospital, he's in the ICU. And the doctors are saying it's only a matter of hours or days before he passes away. And then you can see that his health is deteriorating, and the numbers on the screen, like the oxygen level, the heartbeats, etc., they're dropping. But you know at that point. Also, the way he's breathing could indicate that he is in ihtidar. Tamam? Yani when someone is in, let's say, the ICU and he's unconscious, tamam? And he's breathing in a way where it seems like, the soul might be coming out, and the numbers are dropping them. Technically, he's in ihtidar. Or let me say, you can assume he's in ihtidar. And if Allah Ta'ala wishes to bring him back to life, that's up to him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. And there have been cases, by the way, and during the COVID crisis, there have been cases, there were cases where someone's oxygen level dropped to a significant degree, but then subhanAllah, Allah Azza wa Jal revived that individual. Yeah. Multiple cases, not just one. Yeah.
I mean, like with doing amal or just by itself?
I'm not sure what was done exactly. But the oxygen level dropped to a significant degree. Yani, we're talking about a degree that normally should lead to death. But subhanAllah, Allah Ta'ala would restore their health and it would go back up. But نحن, we deal with things based on what? Based on apparent evidence. Yeah. Based on apparent evidence.
So, Sheikh,
Yes.
ihtidar, it means is when the soul is leaving the person's body while he's passing away. That's the right.
الاحتضار is basically سكرة الموت. يعني when the person is in his last moments in this world and in his first moments in the world of the hereafter. That's الاحتضار.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes the person would report seeing their previously dead relatives come to greet them. That would be one of the signs. Or that doesn't happen, the person hallucinating at that point.
Could it be that he's hallucinating?
Well, they're very sick, but he's saying that, oh, kaza wa kaza, that dead family member, that dead family member
Came to me? Uh-huh.
is here right now and they're waiting for me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So would we assume that that person is hallucinating, or is it actually happening and is it a sign of it?
No, and if my relative was sick, critically sick, and he's telling me he's seeing his ancestors beside him, I take precaution and consider him an ihtidar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the lady that said, Allah saved me, I'll put on the hijab. And then in that same day, essentially, you said, I just saw my father come and give me a teddy bear. But her father then passed away, and then she died after as well.
SubhanAllah. This is after she wore hijab?
She didn't end up wearing the hijab.
She wore it. So after she wore hijab, by a day she passed away?
No, like she was sick in the bed.
Uh-huh.
And she did a nidr that if I become better, I'll wear the hijab. That was just kind of like a side from this. But yeah, so she said that she saw her father come give her a gift. And then soon after she passed away.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. Bali. Tabarak Asmullah. Allah Kareem. Inshallah, we see Ahl al-Bayt at the time of that. Taban, we're going to see them for sure. But we want to see them as they're pleased with us, not as they're angry. Salamu alayhim. So those are the two makruh deeds. So remember them, because one day you might need to apply these ahkam. We'll stop here, inshallah. Next week we'll continue, and if Allah Ta'ala permits, we'll mention certain recommended deeds that one should do after death. So ihtidar is done, the person died, now what? There are also mustahab deeds. We'll mention them bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala al-Mustafa Muhammadin wa alihi al-tahirin.